Hey guys, bad day today. My car wound up breaking down and had to get a loaner. This is all they had. I asked them for something flashy, but this is the best they can come up with. But anyway, I'm excited to get into today's video with you. Good car, nice car. It does not handle like my Mazda. Hey guys, welcome to video number 9. Man, I am so spoiled. I am getting to see some of the most amazing fish and animals and cars today. I wish you guys were here with me. I'm with my buddy Evan Wexler. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there know who Evan is, and I am just feel like a kid at Disney World. Anyway, we got a great video for you today. We got some more chondros hatching. We're going to get into red dominant animals. What does that mean when a chondro is red dominant? And we're going to do some breeding updates. So please stay with me, and we're going to be right back. Guys, I hope you're able to see a lot of these fish. I mean, some of these things are easily in the 35 to 40 pound range. I know that sounds like I'm exaggerating, right? But I promise you, they are all easily that big. And they're just some of the most amazing koi I personally have ever seen. And probably, I would go on record as saying, some of the biggest koi, if not in the country, possibly in the world. I mean, these are pretty immense. So hope you guys are getting a good view of them, and keep in mind the water definitely makes them look smaller. They're much bigger than they appear on the screen. Alright, so enough with fish, and let's jump into some snakes. The last time I saw a fish that big in captivity, it was eating its trainer at SeaWorld, okay? So I hope that gives you an idea just how big those koi were. Special thanks to my friend Evan Wexler for letting me come over to his home and seeing his beautiful menagerie of animals and cars. If you don't know Evan, Evan owns Steakhouse Elite burgers. You could buy them in any supermarket anywhere in this country, so go check them out. Just on that same note, Evan basically decided he's downsizing some of his reptile collection, gave me the opportunity to acquire some of his animals, and those animals I will be making available, and I'm going to show some of those animals to you later in this video. Also wanted to mention that I wanted to cover in this video our shortage of chondros. Why can't we find green tree pythons? People call me daily wanting to buy babies from me, and I feel so bad. I have to tell all of you I don't have any available. And then you ask me where you can get some, and I can't answer that question either. So in today's video, in addition to the other things I mentioned at the beginning of this video we're going to discuss, I also want to discuss with you why there's such a shortage of green tree pythons. Okay, so good morning. It is Saturday morning, April 15th. And I am coming down here to check on some baby chondros that actually started hatching this past Thursday night. So hopefully they were all out of their eggs last night. I checked last night and one was still in its egg. Hopefully they're all out. If you remember, guys, this was a total of 10 eggs. And it looks like I'm going to get 6 babies from 10 eggs. And hopefully you guys can see them good. There's a last egg on the bottom. That's the baby that finally came out last night. So it's a total of 6 babies. They look great. So to recap this clutch, there were a total of 10 eggs. All 10 were red neonates. We can talk about that too, because I think there's some red dominant stuff going on here, and we'll talk about that further. And what else? Oh, 4 were dead in the egg. And I'm going to make some adjustments next season to hopefully prevent that. And so that's it. So let's pick up in this video, and by the time you guys see this, they're going to each be in their individual tubs. And I will see you guys shortly. So here we are almost a week later, and I'm going to show you right now, these first 2 chondros I'm showing you were 2 babies from the first clutch that I featured in my previous video. So that's the first maniquari here. There's a second one. Both of those have already shed, and both have already eaten. And the next 2 I'm going to show you were from the clip you just watched. Again, as you can see, all red babies. These 2 have yet to shed, and they've also yet to eat. Now that you guys have seen those animals, let's talk about what I mentioned in that clip, red dominance. What does red dominance mean? Well, if you watched my previous video, I said to you guys that if you breed a red animal to another red animal, you get red and yellow babies. And here we are. You know, in this latest video I'm showing you, I had a total of 15 babies, even though all didn't survive. 15 babies, and all were red. And why does that happen? How come I did not get any yellow babies? Well, there is something called red dominance. I know I did not mention that in my previous video, and 1 or like, I don't know, 37 of you wrote to me and said, Gary, you forgot to mention red dominance. I didn't forget. Listen, I forget where my cell phone is 5 times a day, and I often forget what I'm looking for when I walk into a room, but I promise you guys I did not forget what red dominance was. I was just trying not to confuse the issue, but now I'm forced to explain it because A week later, all my babies were red. It simply means that one of my adult animals, one of my parents in my pairing, is a red dominant animal, which means that it's only going to produce red offspring, which is a great problem to have. I am so happy. I won't really be able to confirm that until I breed those animals again, but I can tell you, based on the first clutch of animals, with 15 total babies, with every one being red, despite the fact that it's 2 separate clutches, I feel pretty confident this time calling them red dominant animals. At least one of my pairings or one of the parents is a red dominant animal. So I hope that makes sense to you. And now I want to talk to you guys about a temperature adjustment I'm going to make the next time I produce chondros. Hey, so what am I going to do differently when I incubate my next chondro clutch? Well, actually, before we address that topic, I just want to say a quick shout out to my friend Patrick Holmes, who I consulted with on this part of the video. If you don't know Patrick, he is a longtime chondro breeder. He is a true chondro savant. He's my source, or I go to when I need information on chondros. The funny thing about Patrick is 12, 15 years ago, I was the teacher with him and he was a student, and I got to tell you, these years later, he is definitely the teacher. I learned far more from him than I'm able to teach him at this point. So thank you so much, Patrick, for helping me with this part of the segment. So I had a total of 15 chondro eggs this year, and of those 15, 6 of the babies were fully formed, dead in the egg. You know, I may never know exactly why those babies were fully formed and died in their eggs, but it's process of elimination. I can tell you one thing. With my 100% humidity, with my no substrate incubation method, those eggs were fully hydrated. They looked great. So I know it was not a case of the eggs were dehydrated. I know it has to be another reason. So I think that reason may have something to do with the heat, the temperature. I think maybe perhaps my eggs may have gotten too hot. Now, every year I have the same success. All these years after year, I use the same temperatures, and I know on day 49 my eggs are going to hatch. And I don't know what happened this year, but again, I'm going to make that adjustment. So on day 40 next year, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make an adjustment, probably lower my thermostat by maybe 1 or 2 degrees. We know on approximately day 40, when eggs are incubating, well, specifically with chondro eggs, day 40, there seems to be accelerated development and accelerated growth with the neonates inside those eggs. And hence, they just create energy and throw off some heat. So therefore, it may cause the temperatures within those eggs to go up maybe 1 or 2 degrees. And sometimes I think if they're maybe more sensitive babies, it's possible that that accelerated heat in that final period of days when they're incubating, it could wind up killing the babies. Again, guys, this is all process of elimination. I do not know if that was the case, but I will tell you moving forward, as opposed to using the straight bake method, which I've always used for many years, that's where I set my thermostat at 87.4 degrees and I let those eggs cook for 49 days. And they're going to hatch without a problem. Moving forward, I think what I'm going to start doing is on day 40 next year, I'm probably going to wind up lowering the thermostat by 1 or 2 degrees to just allow for the adjustment of those growing embryos. So we'll see if that works. Hopefully it does, because it's pretty frustrating. You see these beautiful babies fully formed, dead in the egg. So we're going to see if we can't remedy that situation next season. So what is going on, guys? Why can you not find captive bred and born green tree pythons available? Not only captive bred and born, I mean green tree pythons in general are so difficult to come by. I'm going to give you 3 primary reasons right now within the last 6 years what has happened to green tree pythons that is making it so difficult for you to come by them, to purchase them. The first is in 2014 we lost Rico Walder. If you don't know who Rico was, please Google him. Rico is the reason I'm able to produce any green tree pythons, and the reason most of us are able to produce green tree pythons. Unfortunately, we lost Rico to cancer in 2014. Rico produced probably 12 to 15 clutches every year. He was a center stone of the chondro community, and the most important thing he did was he had a zoological background. He worked at the Knoxville Aquarium, the Tennessee Aquarium. And so he had that zoo background, but yet he acted as a liaison between a zoo person and the hobbyist. And he was able to take a lot of that information, translate it for us, and he taught us really incubation methods. Even though they had been around prior to Rico, he's the one who really brought them to the hobbyist community. So again, in 2014 of October, we lost Rico Walder, and that is the first reason why it is difficult to find chondros almost 6 years later. Reason number 2 why it's so difficult to come across chondros these days is that we lost Vladimir Odinchenko back in March of 2015. We lost him. Vladimir and Rico, first off, were very good friends, and we lost both these guys, 2 of the greatest minds in green tree pythons, within 5 months of each other. Unfortunately, Vladimir, we also lost him from cancer again, and that was in 2015. So why was Vladimir so important to chondros, and what did he do? Well, you guys probably have heard the name Bushmaster and Bushmaster Farms. They're actually located here in the United States, out in Colorado, but the actual breeding facility where they kept all their green tree pythons is over in Indonesia. And for many years, Vladimir ran that farm, and he ran it really effectively. Back in its heyday, that farm was importing 700 annually baby green tree pythons. So that was all the locality stuff, the pure Maruki stuff, and Jaipur, Sarang, and Manokwari. All those captive hatch babies they were basically, even though we call them captive hatch, they were captive bred and born in a facility over in Indonesia, and then they were brought into the United States. And again, they were bringing in, from my understanding, about 700 annually. So when we lost Vladimir, that pretty much stopped. Yes, chondros still do come in through Bushmaster, but is nowhere near the quantity it once was. I mean, I see so few of these babies being made available today. I've been told a lot of them wind up going over to Europe and different countries. I've seen no proof of that. I'm not saying that's not accurate. I've just not seen that. So anyway, those are the first two reasons. We lost two of the key guys, two key green tree python breeders within 5 months of each other, and that's the second reason why it's so difficult to come across green tree pythons. Number 3 reason is Nidovirus. If you don't know what that is, please, again, Google Nidovirus, N-I-D-O virus. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a virus that has wiped out many chondros and chondro collections across the United States over the past 4 to 5 years. I know a lot of hobbyist guys who were big into chondros, who produced a lot of animals every single year, who are just completely out of it now because their entire collections were wiped out by Nidovirus. Does Nidovirus still exist? Absolutely, but fortunately we have some great minds working on it today, and we're trying to figure out exactly how to cure it, how to take care of it, how to treat it. The problem was that animals with Nidovirus were spread around to different collections on breeding loans or just through acquisition, and we didn't know it, and we wound up losing a lot of animals and a lot of collections. Have I had Nidovirus? I don't know if I had it or not. I can tell you I lost my fair share of animals about 4 or 5 years ago, before that name Nidovirus was really attached to the problem. So I'm sure I did. I can't confirm that, but I'm sure I did. So in any event, those are the top 3 reasons why it's so difficult to find chondros today. But the good news is that there are a lot of guys out there. I think 2020, despite how bad this year has been with everything going on with COVID, the reality is, for the chondro world at least, there seems to be more clutches produced this year than I've noticed in the past probably 5 years. A lot of babies around. I know a lot of breeders are going to hold a lot of their babies back, myself inclusive of that. But I'm hoping by next year we're going to start to catch up a little bit. I think the supply will start to catch up with the demand a little bit in 2021. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Anyway, I hope this was helpful in trying to explain to you guys why it's just been so difficult to find green tree pythons. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I'm going to be making a few animals available, and the thing I always want to do is, I appreciate your loyalty watching my videos and subscribing, so I always want to make sure you guys have first crack of animals for sale before I go ahead and post them on Facebook or on any of the various boards. So the first two, I'm going to show you a couple ocelot jungle jaguars I'm going to be making available. These were both produced by Evan Wexler. These are 2018 animals. They are not yet sexed. I'll be sexing them later this week. I'm going to make sure they're feeding well. I'm sure they are. They're like perfect animals. So I'm going to be getting the information on these guys up in about a week or so. But if you're interested, you can send me an email at gary@gsreptiles.com, and by that time I should have them sexed. This is a 2015 pair of Angolan pythons. They were produced by Sean Jacobs. Sean's from PA. He's been around for a long time. These are 5-year-old animals. They are flawless. They are so light. That's what I love about them. They are proven breeders. Last year, in 2019, they had 6 viable eggs. They were not bred this year in 2020, but they will be definitely ready for a 2021 season. And hopefully, with any luck, you'll get more than 6 eggs. But gorgeous, really light pair of Angolan pythons. Guys, I would keep these in a minute if I had the room, but anybody's looking for a proven pair, 5 years old, of Angolan pythons, again, Gary@GSReptiles, and I'll be happy to send you the information on them. So these are 2019 Diamond Jungle Jaguars. These are Martin Roseman bloodlines. If you don't know Martin, I talked about him before. Martin produces probably the best Diamond Jungle Jaguars out there. Jaguars in general, stuff is absolutely incredible. So anyway, I have 4 of these. I'll be making these available. Again, these are 2019 animals, solid. I have to get them all probed, which I'll do later, but I mean, these are just, as you can see, just amazing animals, top-notch diamond jungle jaguars. So again, Gary at gsreptiles.com, and once I get them sexed out, I'll know better on pricing and everything, and that's that. Okay, so this pretty much wraps up another video, but before we end, let's do a quick breeding update. All the chondros have hatched at this point, waiting for a few to shed out, get a few meals in them. What else do we got? Amazon Basin Emerald Girl. If she's going to drop, I'm thinking it's going to be sometime next month. Again, fingers crossed, guys. We'll see. As I mentioned in the last video, I wasn't feeling as hopeful because she went into another shed, but we'll see. Silver Salvu Python. Let's check her out. She is approximately 17, 18 days post-ovulation shed. She's been laying inverted. She is doing all the right things, so now I'm just hoping to get some viable eggs from her, so we'll see how that goes. All the baby Conicus sand boas. A lot of you guys have been reaching out to me on baby Conicus sand boas. They're all eating like champs. I'm going to get them popped, and I'm going to make those available probably again within the next week or 2 weeks. Working on a new website as well, guys. That's going to be up very soon. And lastly, that's pretty much it. USR. Don't forget, they do so much for us. They ask so little from us. $5 a month. And I'm going to put a link, as I always do, on the bottom of this video. I will see everybody in 2 weeks. Who has the best YouTube channel? Me